What you want? What you want?
Hi everyone, I'm Dan Alvarez and welcome to Redskin Review. Today's show is being taped on Wednesday, January the 27th. And in this show, we're going to finally catch up with some of the games that Anderson has played. It's been a couple months since we've talked. We're also going to talk about some of the players and what they've been doing, the ECC, and also we're going to talk about a little bit about the tournament. Joining me is head coach Chris Delotell. Chris, thanks for joining me. Sorry it's been too long since we've been back together. I know we were going to try to do it a little bit more, but kind of both of our schedules kind of didn't let that happen.
I found a way to fill the time without the Redskin Review, but it's good to have it. It's an awesome thing, so I'm glad to be back to do it.
I appreciate you taking the time, and let's talk. We won't do every single game, but we'll just kind of break it down in groups. And when you first started off, you had an opener against Indian Hill, a really good Indian Hill team, and they've only had one loss so far, and it happens to be to you guys.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for pointing that out. I've been trying to remind folks of that. They're really good, and so when we beat them, I think we knew they were really good. I'm not sure necessarily everybody else knew they were really good, and I was just looking today. They're 14-1, and boy, they got a really good chance to probably win 20 or 21 games. So we feel like that's a really good win for us. It was a long time ago, so sometimes it's easy to forget about those ones that happen early, but they count just the same. So we played well that night, and shot it really well for the first game of the season. You always worry in your first game if you're gonna shoot it very well because everybody's nervous, and so it was 40-39 at halftime, and it was up and down. And in the second half, we were able to keep going and scoring, and scored 75. So it was a really good win to open our season.
Yeah, and you follow that up. And Amelia usually typically is a pretty good team as well. And I think this was at Amelia, I believe. And that's kind of a tough place to play with a small gym. And you ended up really pretty much dominating that game. It looks from what it seems like. And those are two tough. People might not think that, but they're really two tough opponents to open up a season with.
Yeah, one of the things we try to do in our non-league is play people like us. Indian Hill's right now ranked number 3 in the city in Division II. They're a large Division II. We're a small Division I. Aiken is ranked number 1 in Division II. Amelia is a Division I team that wins seemingly 19 games a year lately. Harrison's a Division I team that's really a lot like us in terms of school size. So we feel like McNick obviously is a really good non-conference game for us, in addition to being a rivalry. So we feel like in the 8 games that we get to schedule non-league, we do the best we can to challenge our kids while we play people who are a lot like us, so that we have those sort of even matchups and good games that help make us better.
And then you guys, after you played Amelia, you kind of got into the league a little bit, and you had Milford, Walnut Hills Kings, and you lose some of those games early on by only by 9 points. All good competitive games.
Yeah, I mean we're. As we talked today, we're 11-6, and we've won a number of close ones, and we've lost a number of close ones, and that is usually how seasons go. You feel like most years you probably win half of those and you lose half, and in years where you get lucky or you are exceptionally good in late game situations, maybe you win most of them, and in years where you have some tough breaks, maybe you lose most of them, but it usually evens out. So we beat Kings by 1 here, and we lost a game at Milford that we led by 7 with 3 minutes to go, and they made some plays down the stretch, and we lose to Walnut Hills at the buzzer here, and we win by 1 at Withrow and by 2 at Harrison. So we've just had a season of games that have just been down to the wire, and that's a function of our league just being really even. From night to night, the 4 games in our league, I don't know that you can predict with very much certainty who's going to win.
Is that a good thing, bad thing, that you've played in so many close games that the kids kind of know, hey, here we go, we got to button down, we got to be ready? Like you said, you had Milford up by 7 with 3. Now they know, they're used to playing those close games, and they can't let some of those mistakes happen.
Yeah, at times later in the year we've done a much better job than we did early, when I think we were still learning how to win, of putting people away. Our win at Turpin early in the year, it was a 1-point game with 1:10 to go, and we had this huge possession where we get an and 1 to go up 4 that sort of puts us in position to close the game out, and then we make free throws and win the game. So I think it just comes with experience. Last year we lost 3 games by a point, and I think you sort of have to go through that and learn from it and get better so that you can start winning the close ones like we've done at times this year.
You had one guy in particular early on for you that had a really strong December, and that was D'Anthony McCollum, played very well. I know a couple times he had 20, 24 points. He was always in the 20s. Talk about his improvement he's had over the last couple years.
Yeah, it's become his average now. He averages 20 and a half a game. So he's a guy who, has certainly paced us on offense and by guarding other people's best player. D'Anthony's a 3-year varsity player. He's going to be a 3-year leading scorer. He's a tremendous athlete. He's really gotten better over the last 2 years in his outside shooting, so he's become much more difficult to guard because you have to get out and guard him, whereas maybe 2 years ago people weren't as worried about that and could play him to drive. And also in his physical strength. I think as D'Anthony goes to play in college next year, which is his plan, he's obviously going to have to continue to get stronger, but he's so much stronger than he was as a sophomore. That helps him to get to the foul line, and he's done a great job getting to the line. He leads our league in free throws made and free throws attempted. He has to be up there in the city. And
I think he's 77% or something like
that. He's made them, yeah. So he's done a great job of getting there by being strong when he attacks, and he's done a really good job of making them once he gets there, which is the next step. So he's really become an all-around scorer for us, and that makes you hard to guard.
Yeah, and you got another guy in particular that Jake Newton's been playing very well for you too. I think he's a junior, and talk a little bit about him and maybe some other guys that have really contributed as the season's gone along.
Yeah, we really, from the beginning of the year, even that night against Indian Hill in Game 1 till now, feel like we have some very good players. D'Anthony obviously has a good chance of being the league player of the year. Jake's a second-year starter at point guard, and he's just been really consistently solid for us, especially in January. But we think the best thing that we have is depth, and I think you and I probably talked about it back in November when we talked. We play 12 players in the first quarter of just about every game. I'm not sure many people are able to do that, and I think we just have a lot of guys who have worked very hard to be good players, and that gives us a little bit more, I think, energy at the end of games because we've been able to use more guys and keep people fresh for the stretch.
I'm sure Jake just plays just like his dad did, because I'm telling you what, Chris was I got to play against him in basketball, and he was a pretty darn good basketball player, so I'm sure he's pretty much similar to him the way he played.
I think Jake would tell you, and probably his dad would agree, that Jake shoots it a little better than his dad did.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know if my boss was quite the outside shooter that his son is, but obviously Jake has very good athletic genes.
Absolutely.
I think he probably would credit his mother, but maybe his dad gets a little bit too.
I know one guy in particular that's been hurt, was hurt early in the year, and he had a good game, I think, against Milford, was Blake White. How's he progressing? I know he had a bum shoulder. Is he getting more playing time and playing a lot more? Or?
Blake's done a great job, especially, again, in this month of January. We've sort of gone through the grind of our schedule. The thing with Blake is he's such a hard-working kid, and he goes so hard, and he does football, and he does basketball, and he's in the past done lacrosse. And Blake, you sort of